This is episode 169 of the Beyond the Food Show, and today is the last segment of a 5-part series titled Undiet 2019, and today is all about inspiration. I want us to light a fire in your life. Stay tuned. My name is Stephanie Dodier, clinical nutritionist. I reversed my diagnosis of anxiety, depression, adrenal fatigue, and obesity by going beyond the food. I can tell you one thing, that willpower, discipline, and deprivation aren't the permanent solution to transforming your relationship to food. So how do you leave overeating, emotional eating, food craving, and binging behind you so you have the food freedom to achieve all of your goals and be happy now? As a top 25 alternative health podcast in the world, this is the Beyond the Food Show. Ladies, welcome back. And yes, this episode is all about lighting a fire, but not in the sense of no pain, no gain and trying to hurt you, but instead lighting a fire of inspiration. As we did over the last 5 episodes, it's all about starting the year 2019 differently. I want you to make the year of 2019 the year of you. Big, bolded, capital letter. I want you to do a reset button hit and declare that 2019 is going to be about you feeling good about yourself today, unconditionally, right now, no matter what your size, your weight, your eating, your financial situation is, you're going to make the choice to feel awesome about yourself. And doing that and taking that decision, making that choice is called empowerment. If you wait for the moment where you're going to feel awesome and just waking up one morning and it's going to dawn on you that life is great, I'm sorry to say it's not going to happen. But instead, if you choose that is what's going to happen, you can make it happen. And that's going to lead to huge increase in your self-esteem. It's going to be tremendously effective on your confidence level, and confidence without any attachment to condition of you being confident, but instead being confident right now. You will have more trust in yourself. You will know what's right for you. You will know, not someone else, not a doctor, not an expert. You will know what's right for you. And it's going to come through what we've taught you so far in this 5-part series. It's going to come through body acceptance. It starts there, right? But it's going to increase as you decide to feel good. It's going to help you make peace with food in your body. If you decide that it's going to happen, your brain is going to look out in your environment, into your life to prove to you that it's possible. But you have to make that decision first. It's going to help you end the diet cycle or your relationship with the diet culture and move you from a state of being a victim of this diet culture to a place of being in charge of opting in or opting out of the diet culture. You'll be happy now. It is possible. So I want to help you today in this episode to be inspired to make that choice for this next year and not buying into this whole resolution, diet, Whole30, exercise type stuff, but instead taking a different approach to 2019 by making that the year of you. And we've done that and talking in episode 165 about body acceptance, episode 166 about motivation and how you are actually, like most people, engaging with motivation backwards. And episode 167, how to get results, right? Internal goal, external goal. In the last episode, we dove into the world of goal setting and I gave you some exercise and things you needed to do. Today's going to build on all of that because in almost all of those episodes, I talked about inspiration. in a different way, but I did move you towards acting from a place of love versus a place of fear. And that's where inspiration comes from. So if you want untapped level of motivation, you have to feel inspired. You have to make the choice to be inspired. And that comes from making choices from a place of love. And I know this is not a conventional message. And honestly, I don't care, because we're a community here, and we, to some level, each one different for all of you, made a choice to be here because the conventional message doesn't work, right? And we want something different. You may not be fully convinced yet that that's the way to go, and that's okay. That's part of my job, to help you move towards there. But don't wait for the sign to appear in the sky at night. It's a decision that you have to make, that this is the right message for you. The truth is, I was just like you, under the spell of the diet culture for 27 years, chasing my tail and getting worse and worse and worse, to the point where life wasn't beautiful, right? I was depressed, I had anxiety, I collapsed on stage, chronic condition, binging and emotional eating and all that kind of stuff. But what I found is that I'm not alone. And what I found is that most women just like me that are successful in most aspects of their life are challenged with their body. And they feel like they'll never be able to achieve happiness because they'll never be able to lose weight. Just like me, they've tried everything, all the diets, the over-exercising, the personal trainer, and nothing work. And they end up self-sabotaging with food in a secret way as a way of numbing their feeling of guilt. What they really want is to feel confident. What you want is to be healthy in your body. What I wanted is to be free from obsession and live my life on purpose and being satisfied. But unfortunately, I was stuck and I felt ashamed, probably like a majority of you. So the mistake that I made, and likely most of you are challenged with that, is that I attempted to control what I ate and how I ate in an attempt to finally lose weight and be, quote, happy. So I ended up dieting, restricting, and feeling even worse and needing to punish myself in a state of loathing as a way of motivating myself because nothing else worked. And that's what this Undiet series came from. And that's my key in the door solution for you. If you need help with that, if you resonate with this message, right now we are around December 27th. So if you're listening live, January 1st is around the corner. You're going to get pressure from your environment, maybe your girlfriends or your husband, to set up resolution. What I'm asking you is that you consider not doing that this year. And you consider taking a different stand and a different approach to 2019 by undieting the year. And the series we just did is to help you do that. If you think you need help with that, or you want to work through that in an environment that is structured and with coaching, you can join us in our Food Freedom Challenge that starts in a few days. So it starts on January 1st. So hopefully you've listened to this podcast before January 1st. And if you're past that date, go to my website and look up when is the next Food Freedom Challenge. But you can still take the evergreen portion that's called Claim Your Food Freedom. The link to join us, if it's still time for you, you can go to stephaniedode.com/challenge. And there will also be included in there a bonus, a goal setting workshop that I want to do with you on January the 2nd, so we can set up our goals like we determined in episode 166. Now, today is all about inspiration. So my spill just right now was kind of setting the tone for that space of inspiration, and through my story to share with you that it is possible. Right? And often the best source of inspiration is the demonstration from someone else that's side by side with us that it is possible for them. So it is possible for you too. And One of the tools we're going to use today to help you be inspired, and maybe you'll be inspired to keep replaying this episode because it was such a source of inspiration. That's my dream. We're going to use music. So I'm going to use the extract of a song that has always triggered a lot of smile for me and a lot of dreaming when I listen to that song. And funny enough, I recently watched a documentary video available on iTunes that was centered around the band that played that song. So that band is called Journey, and that song is called Don't Stop Believin'. There's actually a documentary made on the band Journey that's called Don't Stop Believin', Every Man's Journey. That's the title of the documentary. And that's a documentary around the very inspiring story of Arnel Pineda, a man from the Philippines who was literally plucked out from YouTube by the band's Journey's guitarist as the new singer for the rock and roll band Journey. That's about 10 years ago. Third world country, small boy dream of being in this big international American band, and it happened for him. That movie was so inspiring to me that it got me to talk about that within this series here and sharing the song and the documentary with you, because I highly recommend that you watch it, and that will really anchor for you that everything is possible. He kept, through his journey and his struggle, holding tight to his dream of making it in the music industry, and it did happen. And he went from living in the third world country, Philippines, to being the lead singer of one of the, top 5 rock and roll band in this world. Who would have thought? So it may not have a direct link to emotional eating, binging, or struggling with body appearance, but I want you to connect with the possibility. Because likely for him, if he had chosen to not believe that it was possible, he would have stopped at some point. But he kept believing, and he kept pushing, and he kept putting himself out there. And for many of us, inspiration and motivation is tangled in together, and there's a huge difference between the two. So definition of inspiration is something that makes someone want to do something, or to give someone an idea about what to do or what to create. It's a force internally that inspires you to keep moving forward towards that goal, that place, that creativity, that inspiration that you want to achieve. And there's a huge difference between inspiration and motivation. And it's that space of where it comes from, right? Motivation, it's more of a external towards internal, right? It's something that for most people, it has to be, unfortunately, something that is more hardcore, something that more comes upon you, versus inspiration. It comes from within. It's a intuitive force that makes the process of achieving your goal easy and smooth. And we'll get into that in just a few minutes here. It comes from that spirit place. And that's in part the word inspiration. It comes from your spirit. So depending on your religious belief, it could be spirituality, it could be God inside of you, but it comes from that untouchable space. And the end result of inspiration is fulfillment. way beyond just achieving an external goal is fulfillment. And you know you're inspired when it feels effortless. You don't have to work hard. You don't have to break the habit. It comes naturally to change your behavior or your habit. And in some way, you have to hold yourself back from starting right now because you're so excited. And for me, if I can give you a personal life example, that's what I feel about the work that I'm doing right now versus what I used to do in the corporate world, right? I had to pull myself out of bed every morning to go to work. Where this one, when I go to bed the night before, I'm excited about everything I'm going to do the next day when I wake up. You know you're inspired when your passion burns internally and doesn't flatline. It occupies your mental space, but in a good way that keeps you really engaged. In some instances, when you're inspired, you feel to do something. You have this thing inside of you. You can feel it vibrating or burning that you have to do this. It's not something that is forced upon you because you have to achieve certain level externally, but it's a burning fire inside of you. Some people say, I feel it in my bone that I'm in the right path. Everything externally may tell me it's wrong, but internally I feel that it's right. And as I say very often to you, this work of going beyond the food and the self-discovery path and the reconciliation with your body is going to feel like that. You know you have to do it, but every cue externally is going to try to push you back into the model of the diet culture. But you know it's right inside of you. You have to follow this inspiration, this intuition inside of you. Now, a note about inspiration, it never comes from others. Because inspiration comes from yourself within and cannot be manufactured outside. So, yes, I'm making this episode externally to you, and it may take 1, 2, 3 listens before you actually feel inspired to engage yourself in going beyond the food, but it has to click within you. It's not about re-listening to this podcast every single day, every single week to maintain your inspiration. At some point, it has to click within you, and you have to internally, spiritually maintain this burning fire naturally inside of you. That's inspiration that's going to last for a long period of time. So how do we bring inspiration into our life? How do we get inspired? My first recommendation to you is to go back to episode 168 and set goals with feelings, right? So if you want to be inspired, don't try to be inspired on achieving external goal like weight loss, like getting X amount of money in your bank account or getting a promotion, but instead focus on feelings. So go back to podcast 168 and set your goals with feeling. My second tip for you is understand resistance. This is huge to remain inspired. So resistance is almost that anxiety, that fear, that what you're about to engage yourself in is scary. You're afraid, you're worried. Understand that resistance is amazing. That means that you are on the path towards growth. If you know my self-sabotage model, right? The comfort zone is in the middle. There's a bigger circle at the outside, and that's your uncomfortable zone. That's where the growth and expansion and change, the transformation is sitting. For you to move from your current situation and behavior to a transformed behavior, transformed situation, fear will need to be there. So if you feel that resistance and that fear and your life is not really in danger, like there's nobody running after you trying to hurt you, it's just, I'm afraid of changing my approach, know that that's good. Like play on this and recognize it and celebrate it. That growth is on the other side. My third tip is create an environment that sustains your inspiration, right? Social media, get rid of those accounts that make you feel bad, that makes you doubt. Stop watching the news. In the academy, we call it the hope detox. That's one thing that the student have to do, is like to detox their environment that doesn't make them feel good. So delete the apps, the podcasts that will hinder your state of inspiration. So those are my top 3 tips for you to do. And I want to share with you some of the top quotes in my life that have allowed me to remain inspired, to foster this inspiration inside of me that allowed me to have faith that what I was dreaming about could come through. So those are the quotes that over a period of time, I don't know, the last 5, 7, 8 years, have made it to my cover page or cover screen of my cell phone. So over time, I rotate quotes in there so that I can focus on a quote, a wise learning that I can keep growing and be inspired by. And I'll share with you which one is currently on the cover of my cell phone, but this is something that I look at 10 to 15 times a day. So it's reprogramming my mind, fueling my fire of inspiration inside of me. So I wanted to share 10 of you, and you're going to do an exercise for me. As you're listening to me sharing those 10 quotes, I want you to close your eyes, take a couple of deep breaths. So if you're driving right now, pause the podcast and come back to the last 10 minutes of the podcast when you're at home and you can close your eyes. Close your eyes, take a couple of deep breaths, and I want you to listen to those quotes, your eyes closed, and pay attention on how you feel. If you're getting like butterfly in your stomach, if you're getting a smile on your face, maybe if you're getting a warmth in your heart, hear the message from your body of which quote resonate with you the most, and start with that one on the cover of your smartphone, or maybe on your desktop cover, or maybe write it down and post it everywhere in your house, or write it in the lipstick in your mirror. Right? And then you can come back to the next one and the next one and the next one until you have rotated, or even seek your own quote to remain inspired and build up that faith that anything can happen. So the very first one that I want to share with you, remind your eyes closed and you're breathing, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Again, if you can learn to understand resistance and fear and stop fearing your fear, but instead learning to dance with your fear, anything is possible. Anything. The second quote. Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the decision to do what's right, even in the presence of fear. Amen to that. The third one. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can now. Start right now. Fourth one. Never give up. For that is just the time and place where the tide will turn. And typically we give up just before the tide turns. The fifth quote. Trust that things are happening for you, not to you. That is huge. In every error, in every mistake, there is a lesson for you to become a bigger version of yourself. The sixth quote. Stop looking at what's wrong in your life. Look for what's right. Oh my God, when I got this and it became a way of living for me, life became a pleasurable event instead of always looking for what was wrong, including what was wrong with my body. The seventh quote. Be thankful of your struggle, because without it, you wouldn't have stumbled across your strength, which is the sister quote of the last one. 8th quote. We struggle with perfectionism where we are the most sensitive to shame. So instead of looking at perfectionism as something bad, take it as a message to look where you need to heal. And a lot of us, it's our body image. So we are attempting to achieve perfectionism with body image and food because we are sensitive to shame in those two areas. 9th, losing weight isn't your life purpose. And I'll leave that alone. The last one, that's the one on my phone right now. It's been there for about 2 months. For you to be successful, you don't have to do too much. You are already successful. The problem is that you're standing in your own way. So take a deep breath again. Reopen your eyes. Which one of those quotes resonated with you the most? I'm challenging you to put it on the cover of your phone and to work on that part of yourself over the next couple of weeks of month and become that better version of yourself. So there you have it, ladies. I hope this episode inspired you to undiet 2019. Remember that we are in a grassroots movement. This episode can help other women. I need you to share it to someone in your life that can really use it. And we have a great show coming up, our first one of the year 2019, and it's going to be about food perfectionism and how we can maneuver through that and towards our eating habit. I look forward to seeing you during this episode. Ladies, let's start 2019 together. From January 1st to the 26th, 2019, we will take together a 25-day journey to dissolve emotional eating that keep you stuck and finally stop sabotaging yourself with food. Yes, you can eat when hungry and stop when full. The Food Freedom Challenge is the first look inside the Going to Beyond the Food method. It will allow you to make peace with food and your body, stop obsessing about food and the diet roller coaster once and for all. The Food Freedom Challenge is a 4-core module that we will be doing together as a group inside a private community. We will first discover why we eat. 2, we will learn how to cope with our emotions, stop overeating, and in bonus, we will also look into body image, intuition, time management. Plus, you'll get 2 coaching calls with me in the group to answer all of your questions and implement the method in order to help you engage with food in a completely different perspective so you can stop craving, overeating, binging, and using food to feel better. So if you're ready to step into 2019 in a powerful way and once and for all make peace with food in your body, head over to www.stephaniedodze.com/challenge. I'll see you on the other side.